The fancy Mont Blanc pen in my hand suddenly stops writing, almost like it is freezing. I'm trying to sign a big, important paper, but the ink spills and makes a dark, messy spot on the page. It looks like a little black wound on the contract I'm supposed to sign. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? My office phone is on, and I hear Fiora from Velvet Knot Weddings talking. Her voice sounds slow and careful, like she is scared to tell me something bad. "I'm sorry, Miss Wade," she says quietly. "Your family asked us to take you off the guest list for the wedding." I stare out the huge window next to my desk. From here, on the 48th floor, I can see all of Seattle spreading out under the bright sky. Normally, looking at the tall towers, the shiny windows, the long roads, and the tiny cars far below makes me remember how hard I worked and how high I've climbed. I built my business piece by piece, step by step, all the way to owning 18 beautiful places for events around the whole city. Down below, the car lights look like tiny glowing dots moving in lines, like little streams of stars. They flow through the streets like bright rivers, like blood moving through veins. Everyone down there is moving forward. But I feel stuck here in my office chair, unable to move at all. "There must be some misunderstanding," I say. My voice sounds calm, but my fingers are shaking. "I gave my sister $60,000 for her wedding." "Yes, well," Fiora says slowly. "I was told the money was a gift. A gift with no conditions. No expectations." I look down at the contract I'm supposed to sign. It's for a $7 million hotel that my company is about to buy in another state. Usually I would feel very proud and excited. Buying a hotel is a huge deal. But right now it feels like nothing. It feels tiny compared to the hurt inside my chest. "The money has already been used to pay the wedding vendors," Fiora continues. Her voice is tight, like she's scared to say the next part. "Your parents told me they talked to you about everything." Another black ink blot forms under my pen because I'm holding it so hard. I remember 6 months ago. I had quietly sent the money to help my sister because I heard her whispering to Mom at Sunday dinner. "We might need to spend less," Alethea had said, worried. "We might have to make the wedding smaller." I had walked back into the dining room, pretending I didn't hear them. My dad was congratulating my brother-in-law for getting a new job as a regional sales manager. "That's a real career," Dad said proudly, raising his glass. Then the conversation changed. Someone asked about my company buying 3 vineyard event places. Dad only chuckled. "Lysandra is still an event planner," he said. "At least she's having fun." He didn't know my business earns millions. He didn't know my company is growing into different states. He didn't even care to ask. I didn't correct him. I didn't tell him the truth. I just stayed quiet like I always did. And the next morning, I wrote the check for $60,000. I told myself maybe one day they'll finally understand how hard I work and how much I've achieved. Now, speaking to Fiora, I feel that old hurt growing again. "Please email me a breakdown of how my money was used," I told her. Now my voice is cool and firm, like when I handle difficult business deals. "Miss Wade," Fiora tries again. "Your parents." "The email," I say. "With everything listed." "Today." She swallows loudly. I can even hear it over the phone. "Your parents insisted that they already told you." "This is not about family," I say. "This is business." My hands finally stop shaking. I open my vendor database on my computer and start typing quickly. "You'll have the list shortly," Fiora says nervously. After I end the call, I press the intercom button. "Ondine, please call Talitha from the legal team." Not my parents. Not my sister. Not a fight with yelling and crying. They expect me to fall apart. They expect me to be emotional. But I learned one thing growing up in the Wade family. Power is louder than emotions. I get up and walk to the window again. I rest my hand on the cold glass. For a moment, my reflection looks different. I see the grown woman I've become, strong and confident. But I also see a little girl inside me, still trying to get her family's approval. Still trying to be seen. Still standing outside looking in. A tear tries to fall, but I blink fast, and it disappears. I have 20 minutes before Talitha arrives. 20 minutes to understand that my sister's wedding might now become a battle I never wanted. I look again at the city, at the places my company owns, at the event venues where other families laugh and celebrate. I built all of this. And still my own family acts like it means nothing. I return to my desk and pick up my pen again. The contract waits for my signature. Growth. Success. Expansion. All the things that never seemed to matter to my parents. But maybe now they won't be able to ignore me. A new email pops into my inbox with a soft chime. It's from Velvet Knot Weddings. I open it, and the words feel sharp, almost painful. As per our conversation with Dorian and Calantha Wade, we are happy to confirm their generous gift covering all primary wedding expenses for Alethia's wedding. Their generous gift. Not mine. My hand presses against my chest like I'm trying to steady my heart. It hurts more than I thought it would. I click through our vendor system, searching for the wedding vendors for my sister's big day. And then I see it. Every single vendor. The flower company, the catering company, the photography team, the video team, the wedding coordinator. Every single one of them works with my company. They are all part of Wade Collective, or one of our partner companies. They used my company, my vendors, my resources, and they didn't even tell me. My phone buzzes again. I look at the screen. It's a group text between my parents, Alethea, and her fiancé, from 3 weeks ago. They were planning wedding details, talking about the decorations, the music, the food, the schedule. But I was never in the group. Not one message. Not one invitation. It wasn't a mistake. They did it on purpose. Mom had texted. I arranged for the ice sculpture to arrive at 4 p.m. Dad replied proudly. The Wade family knows how to celebrate. I stare at their words until Talitha and Caius walk into my big conference room. They sit down. Their faces are calm and professional. The contracts are clear, Talitha says. Each vendor can stop working if they give 21 days notice. No punishments. No fees. Caius slides a folder across the shiny table. There's more. Velvet Knot Weddings became part of Wade Collective last month. The papers were finished just yesterday. And the venue? I ask. Willow Creek Estate is owned by Pinnacle Holdings, Caius says. And Pinnacle belongs to your company. So the place where my sister is getting married is also mine. My family chose a place I own, and still didn't include me. Talitha looks at me with worried eyes. Your family could try to take legal action. I raise an eyebrow. Against me? Their uninvited daughter? I laugh a little. It sounds strange, almost hollow. Tell me what they could lose, I say calmly. Caius taps his tablet. A list appears on the conference room wall. The venue, the food service, the flowers, the photography, the video team, the planners. All deposits would be lost, Caius explains. And with only 20 days left, they won't find replacements as good as these. I think about my sister crying happy tears when she found the perfect purple wisteria hanging from the trees at Willow Creek. I think about how much she loved the rose gold sunset at the venue. Dreams I paid for. Dreams I helped create. Dreams she enjoyed without even thinking of me. Caius shifts in his chair. There's another issue. This could affect our company's Portland expansion. If people think the company is ruining your sister's wedding, it could look bad. I look out the window again. My city. My buildings. My work. My success. All of it is real. All of it is important. Even if my parents pretend it isn't. Start canceling all wedding services, I say. Right now. Talitha and Caius look at each other but nod. They know I don't change my mind. After they leave, my phone rings again. It's Fiora. Miss Wade, she says, sounding scared. All the vendors are canceling everything. There must be some mistake. No mistake, I say. The contracts are being used exactly the way they were written. But your sister's wedding. It seems it needed me, I say. Just not my money. I ended the call. As the cancellation emails start reaching my parents, I wonder something quietly inside myself. Was my success worth losing my family? Should I stay firm and let them feel the consequences? Or am I supposed to save the wedding and try to save myself too? What do you do when the people who should love you the most don't see how special you are? Maybe the storm coming will finally make them notice me. The next morning, my phone keeps buzzing. 7 times in 2 hours. Dad calls 5 times. I let it ring each time. He leaves a voicemail. Lysandra. This has gone too far. If those vendors don't come back by noon tomorrow, I'm calling my lawyer. What you're doing is illegal. I almost laughed. If only he knew, he'd be suing me. Then Mom calls. Her voice is syrupy sweet. Sweetheart, she says. How could you ruin your sister's special day? What kind of person does that? We raised you better. I stop listening halfway through. Ondine comes in. She has a stack of pink message slips. The Hendersons called 3 times, she says. They're friends of your parents. And the Downtown Business Association wants to know if the wedding rumors are true. They've been very busy, I say. There's more, Ondine says, handing me the newspaper. The Seattle Times says, a mysterious problem has caused all wedding vendors to quit the Wade wedding. People are wondering what disaster has struck the biggest celebration of the season. I place the paper on my desk very carefully, like it might break. And I take a deep breath. Ondine walks into my office with her tablet held close to her chest. She looks a little worried, but she also looks like she already fixed something for me. She speaks gently, like someone telling a tired friend good news. I moved your big important meeting with the investors to next week, she says. Talitha thought maybe you needed more time to handle everything that's going on. Thank you, I say. My voice is soft, even though inside I feel like I am shaking. When I am finally alone again, I look at my calendar on my computer screen. I take a deep breath and cancel 2 more meetings. I know I cannot focus. I cannot think about business or big decisions when my phone keeps lighting up every few minutes with new messages full of mean words and strange lies. All morning long, instead of building my business or planning new events or talking to my team, I ran around trying to stop all the trouble my parents started. My parents have been sending scary, wrong messages to people I work with. They call my business friends and tell them I am vindictive and unstable, words that mean mean and crazy. They make me sound like a person I am not. So the whole morning feels like I am trying to put out 100 fires at once. Phone call after phone call, message after message, each person worried or confused asking me, "What is going on?" I explain again and again. It isn't true. My parents are spreading lies. My head hurts. My chest feels tight. My whole morning melts away like ice in the sun, turning into nothing but stress and tiny pieces of worry. By the time evening comes, I feel empty and tired. But instead of resting, I sit cross-legged on the floor of my huge living room. I place my laptop on my knees. Outside my giant windows, the city lights glow like little golden stars sprinkled across the dark ground. It should look beautiful. It usually does. But tonight, even the lights cannot make me feel calm. There is a box of takeout food next to me, but I barely look at it. I can still smell the warm noodles and vegetables, but I don't feel hungry. My stomach feels too tight, like it is full of knots. Instead of eating, I scroll through something on my computer. I opened an old family video from when Alethea, my younger sister, turned 16. The video shows a party with balloons and fairy lights. Alethea is smiling, wearing a pale dress that flows like soft water. Mom has her arm around Alethea and is talking to Aunt Marceline. Lysandra planned everything, Mom says. She's always been good at little parties. Little parties. I stare at the screen and try not to feel hurt. That same year, I planned a huge charity event for 800 people. The charity party raised more than $2 million for sick children. But Mom still called it little parties. I pause the video and open my email inbox. I scroll through 3 years of messages. Old Christmas emails, birthday wishes, little updates from family members. And every time my parents talk about me, they make my success sound tiny. Small. Like it does not matter. Like I do not matter. Dad wrote to Uncle Robert last Christmas. Lysandra's venue business is doing well. But he didn't say that doing well meant something very big. He did not tell Uncle Robert that I was opening new locations in a 4th state, or that my business was almost earning $100 million. He never told anyone how hard I worked, how smart my team was, or how much my company had grown. He always made me sound like a kid with a hobby. My phone makes a loud ping. A new message. I look. It is from Instagram. Alethea has posted a picture, black and white, very dramatic. It shows her engagement ring shining on her hand. The caption says, "Sometimes the people who should love you most hurt you the deepest. Grateful for the ones who stand by me while selfish people destroy happiness." People fill the comments with hearts and kind messages. They ask if she is okay. They tell her she is strong. She never writes my name, but she doesn't have to. Everyone knows who she means. Everyone knows she is blaming me. I close Instagram and open a blank document. This time, something in me feels firm. Strong. I start typing everything. Every email. Every rude text. Every time they pushed me away. Every moment I felt small. Every dollar I gave for Alethea's wedding. Every vendor contract I paid for. Every single thing. I write it all down line by line like I am building a long, clear map of everything that happened. The next morning, Ondine walks into my office again. This time she is carrying a small brown paper bag. When she sets it on my desk, I smell warm cinnamon and sweet butter right away. "Your favorite from Meredith's bakery," she says. She pulls out a warm morning bun and places it in front of me. "You look like you didn't get any sleep." "I didn't," I admit softly. I take the morning bun with both hands like it is the nicest gift in the world. Ondine leans against my desk and looks at me with gentle eyes. If it were me, she says quietly, I think I would have uninvited my parents from my wedding years ago. The sentence surprises me so much that I laugh out loud. A real laugh. A warm laugh. My first one in days. Ondine laughs too. For a moment, just a tiny moment, the heavy weight on my shoulders lifts. But then, not even 30 minutes later, I hear a loud booming voice down the hall. My father. My family has arrived, he shouts. Ondine tries to get him to stop. She tells him my door is closed. But he doesn't listen. She can't hide from us forever, he yells. My office door swings open hard. Dad storms in, followed by Mom and Alethea. The sunlight shines through the tall windows behind me, lighting up this sad, messy moment like a spotlight on a stage. What do you think you're doing? Dad shouts, his face red. I lean back in my chair and fold my hands neatly on my desk. Exactly what you taught me, I say calmly. Protecting my investments. Mom steps closer and waves her hand like my feelings don't matter. It's just a silly wedding invitation, Lysandra, she says. Why are you making such a big fuss? We thought you'd be too busy with your little project to come anyway. Project. I smile, not a happy smile but a knowing one. Let me show you my project. I pick up my phone, tap a few buttons, and put the group text onto the big screen on the wall. It is the wedding planning chat. The one I was never invited to. The one they used to plan everything without me. Messages fill the wall. Talking about seating. Talking about flowers. Talking about food. Picking colors. Making plans. Then Mom puts a picture of the venue receipt. And Dad writes, put it on our card. We can use Lysandra's money. Say it's from all of us. She won't know. She's busy with her little business. Their faces turn white. Alethea sits down hard, like her legs stopped working. Did you think I wouldn't find out? I ask. Or did you just not care? Mom tries to talk, but her voice wobbles. We were trying to simplify things, she says. But something has already changed in the room. Something deep inside me has changed too. All this time, I chased their approval like a child chasing a balloon in the wind. But I finally understand something huge. I do not need their approval. I have built something real. Something big. Something they cannot shrink or hide or pretend is small. The door opens again. This time it is Talitha and Caius. They look calm and professional. They set neat folders on my desk. Talitha says, here is the solution you requested. She shows a detailed plan. Caius shows pictures of the Laurel House, one of my smaller but lovely properties. Everything can be ready by the original date, he says. All replacement vendors said yes. Dad stares at them like he is seeing something unbelievable. You have a team, he says. A remarkable one, I answered. My team speaks with confidence, kindness, and strength. They present solutions, not demands. Respect, not dismissal. Everything my parents never gave me. When they finish, I open my drawer and pull out a folder with my company logo, the Wade Collective. Inside is my offer. The Laurel House, I say. One day only. Basic services included. I slide it across the desk. Just then my phone buzzes. A message from Alethea. I need to speak with you. Alone. I look across the room. Alethea is staring at me with an expression I haven't seen since we were little kids. I nod. She gets up and walks out with our parents. 2 days later, the wind whips gently across the terrace at Crescent Bay Lodge. This place is my most beautiful property, my crown jewel. A building that stands on the edge of a cliff, watching the ocean crash and sparkle far below. I picked this place on purpose. It is strong, beautiful, and impossible to ignore. Alethea arrives early. Caius meets her and leads her inside. Through the window, I see her face change from confused to amazed as she sees the building rising from the cliff like a piece of art. She walks onto the terrace. Her silk scarf flutters like a tiny flag. Lysandra, she whispers. This place is yours? Yes, I say. Welcome to Crescent Bay. I point to the folder on the table. Please sit. The ocean crashes below us like a drum. I open the folder. This is the paper showing that Velvet not removed me from your guest list. I say. I slide it to her. And this is the bank paper showing my $60,000 gift. I add more papers. These are vendor contracts and the messages with Fiora. All vendors canceled yesterday. The venue is canceled. Alethea's face goes pale. Mom and Dad said you were too busy to come, she whispers. They said you had meetings in Portland. I own the venue, Alethea. I say softly. I own most of the vendors. Did you really think I wouldn't find out I was uninvited from a wedding I basically paid for? She looks stunned. How much of the wedding world do you control? Before I can answer, the terrace door slams open. My parents run in, angry. What do you think you're doing? Dad shouts. I'm showing my sister the truth, I say. I press a button. The hidden screen behind me lights up. It shows my company structure. 18 venues. 8 hotels. Vendor networks. Revenue numbers. Employees. Everything. Dad tries to say I got lucky, but I change the slide. 412 employees. $37 million a year. This is not luck. Mom tries to speak kindly but softly. We knew your little company. My little company, I say, is worth more than Dad's ever was. The words hit the air like a stone thrown in water. Alethea stands suddenly. I need you both to leave, she says. Her voice is strong like steel. Now! They leave. When the door closes, the air feels quiet and electric. Alethea turns to me with tears. I didn't know, she whispers. Any of it. I know, I say. They made sure you didn't. Talitha and Caius enter again. They place more neat folders on the table. We prepared the Laurel House contracts, Talitha says. It is free on your original date. We also rebuilt your vendor list, Caius says. Everything can be ready in 21 days. Alethea watches them with new eyes finally full of respect. Miss Wade, she says softly. It's the first time she has ever said my name like that. Thank you, she whispers. I gesture toward the chairs. Please, I say. Show her the options. As we sat together talking about the new wedding plan, everything felt strangely calm, almost like we were building a puzzle together. Talitha spoke softly, showing charts and pictures and ideas. I noticed something change in Alethea, my sister. She sat up straighter than before, like she suddenly remembered she had a backbone made of something strong instead of soft. She leaned forward with bright eyes, focusing carefully on every detail. For the very first time in my life, I could see that she was finally seeing me. Not just the sister who got ignored. Not the one our parents brushed aside like old dust on the floor. Not the quiet girl they talked over at dinner. But me, the businesswoman I had quietly grown into. The one who built something huge without them ever noticing. My phone kept buzzing again and again. Mom called. Dad called. Mom called again. Their messages used to sound bossy and sharp, like they were shouting instructions down a long hallway. But now the messages were soft and shaky. Instead of demanding, they were begging. Something in their world was breaking, and they didn't know how to fix it. Their fancy friends had begun whispering about what was wrong with the wedding. Dad's business people were whispering too, surprised, shocked, even curious, because for the first time, they were learning about the empire I had built. Is this real? You'd really do all this? Alethea asked after Talitha finished talking. Her eyebrows were lifted, and her voice sounded like she was stepping carefully on thin ice. She pointed at the new wedding plans with a shaky gesture. She looked confused but also amazed. The Laurel House is yours if you want it, I told her. And Caius will help you with everything. Every detail. I looked right at her so she knew I meant it. But we need new rules. Real ones. The big family meeting was planned for the next day at my headquarters, my building with my name on the door. As Alethea nodded slowly, understanding something she had never understood before, I wondered inside myself. Should I just bring back the old wedding plans to make things easier for her? Or should I stand firm and protect myself so I would never be hurt by our parents the same way again? Sometimes being kind feels like letting people walk over you. But sometimes being strong means learning to forgive while still drawing a line. The ocean waves below us smashed against the rocks loudly, never stopping, always honest. They reminded me of the truth. You can ignore it for a while, but you can't stop it. Lysandra, Alethea said at last, I want to see the Laurel House. I nodded to Caius. He gathered the papers like a soldier preparing for something important. This wasn't a victory. Not yet. It was only the beginning of a battle that had lived in our family for many years, hiding under smiles and dinners. My phone buzzed again. Another call from one of our parents. But this time, the voice on the message was soft. Pleading. Afraid. Things were changing. The power was moving. But the war hadn't even begun yet. The next day, the meeting. The next day, my parents walked into my headquarters office. This time, they were on my turf, my world. The family lawyer opened his shiny briefcase with fast, sharp clicks, almost like a soldier opening a weapon. It made the air feel tight, serious. Dad sat right across from me. He kept looking at his big gold Rolex again and again, tapping it with his finger. He only did that when he felt like things were slipping out of his hands, like sand he couldn't catch. Mom sat next to him, wearing a smile so forced it looked painful. Her pearl necklace sat stiff on her collarbone like armor. "We made a fair deal," Dad said, pushing a stack of papers across my long, shiny table. "You bring back the old wedding vendors. You bring back the old venue. And then," he paused like he was gifting me something special, "we'll send you a real invitation." I didn't even reach for the paper. I just looked at them. Behind them, the tall windows showed Seattle's whole skyline, glowing in morning light. Every building seemed to say, "She built something. She changed. Look." But my parents still looked at me like the daughter they thought needed their approval. "A compromise means both sides are equal," I said calmly. "There's nothing equal about you using $60,000 of my money while shutting me out of the wedding." Mom leaned forward. Her perfume floated toward me, the same sweet scent she used when I was a child. "It used to make me feel safe. Now it feels heavy. Think about what people will say, Lysandra. Think about the family reputation, which is worth exactly $60,000, I said, plus tax. Dad's jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscle move. "You've made your point with this little business display," he said. There it was. The word little. He used it for everything I ever did. My little ideas. My little plans. My little dreams. Like I was always small, even when I wasn't. I pressed a button on my phone. "Ondine, please bring in the portfolio." Neither parent apologized. Neither admitted they were wrong. They still thought I'd cave in, crawl back, obey like I used to. Ondine walked in with the leather portfolio. She placed it in front of me with careful hands, fully aware that this moment mattered more than almost any moment before. I opened to the first page. "Wade Collective made $83 million last year," I said. "That's about 7 times more money than your company ever made in its best year, Dad." Their eyes widened. Shock, surprise, confusion, and slowly, understanding. I turned the page. A Wall Street Journal article. "I didn't talk about being your daughter in interviews," I said. "Not because I was embarrassed, but because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I didn't want people saying you were known for being my parents." Next page, buildings I own. Next page, teams I manage. Next page, awards. With each page, their faces changed. I saw walls fall. I saw their story crack open. "I don't need your permission to succeed," I said quietly. "I need your respect to be part of this family." The door opened. Alethea came in. Her eyes were red from crying, but she held her shoulders straight. Caius stood beside her like a guard. He had shown her every truth. Every number. Every lie our parents told themselves. Everything I built. "My rules are not changing," I said, closing the book. "The Laurel House. 80 guests. $185,000. Paid before anything begins." "That's outrageous," Dad yelled. "That's the regular price," I answered. "Actually, I gave you a family discount." Alethea walked toward me, not to my parents. A small movement, but it felt like the floor moved under us. "I want a tour," she said softly. "Of everything." The tour. We drove to the Laurel House, my biggest and most beautiful venue. 30 minutes later, we stood inside the grand ballroom. The floor was shiny white marble, so smooth it looked like water. The giant crystal chandeliers sparkled like stars caught in glass. Staff members came up to me one by one. "Miss Wade, the Morrison wedding wants your approval on the lights." "Miss Wade, the Chicago team needs your decision on the new building." "Miss Wade, the investors are ready whenever you are." With every Miss Wade, my father's voice grew quieter. With every respectful bow from my staff, he slumped a little more. He was watching something he had never seen before, my world. A world I built without him. Mom walked to a glass case filled with awards, magazines, and news stories. She touched the glass gently, her hand trembling. It held pieces of a life she never bothered to ask about. In my office, she noticed one thing, the only personal thing in the room. A picture from Alethea's graduation. All 4 of us smiling. My arm around my sister. "You kept this?" she whispered. "Some things matter more than others," I said. Alethea grabbed my hands. "I want you to be my maid of honor," she said. "If you still want to." I felt warmth rise in my heart like sunrise. "I'd be honored," I said. "But only if you want me there. Not because of guilt. Not because of pressure." "I always wanted you," she whispered. "I just didn't know everything. I didn't know what they did." Dad stood by the window, staring at the city like he was seeing it for the first time. When he turned around, something new glowed in his eyes, respect. "We didn't see you," he said. "We never really looked." Outside, Mom wrote the check for the Laurel house. Her hand shook. She didn't argue. She didn't complain. She knew the truth now. Alethea hugged me tightly. I should have known, she whispered again and again. I looked over her shoulder at Caius. I gave a single nod. Make it perfect, I told him. Because that is what family should do. Even when it hurts. Even when things are broken. They build something anyway. The wedding day. Sunshine poured through the glass ceiling like warm honey. I gave my team quiet hand signals. They understood every one, because we had grown together. White roses hung from the ceiling like waterfalls. The whole place looked like a magical forest made of flowers. My parents walked in slowly, almost shyly. Their usual confidence was gone. Dad nodded at me politely. That was new. Mom smiled softly. Everything looks beautiful, she said. Truly beautiful. Thank you, I said. Come meet my team. My executive team walked over. Talitha, my lawyer. Caius, my operations director. Kaylin, head of all Pacific Northwest venues. Each person said, Mrs. Wade, respectfully, their eyes telling her that they stood with me. Later, when the glasses clinked in the soft lights, I stood for my toast. Everyone who used to ignore me now leaned forward, wanting to hear every word. To Alethea and Leaf, I said. Family is complicated. Legacies are even more complicated. I looked right at Dad. You don't build empires out of anger. You build them with vision. And then you choose who gets to share the view. The room burst into applause. Alethea hugged me with tears in her eyes. Not just my sister, she said, but my inspiration. My heart felt warm and full. Months later, Sunday dinner was in my penthouse. The city sparkled outside the windows like faraway diamonds. Dad asked gently, What do you think about expanding into Arizona? I think your business could do wonderfully there. Mom showed a magazine article about me to her friend proudly. My daughter, the CEO, she said with a proud smile. My phone buzzed. A message from Alethea. The wedding photos went viral, she wrote. You didn't just pay for the wedding. You held our family together. I finally understand. As I looked around my home, my space, my rules, I wondered, is it enough that they see me now? Should real family love be there from the start? Should I open my arms fully, or keep some walls up so I don't get hurt again?